Today's episode is brought to you by FreedomProject Academy. Looking for a K-12 classical online school built on Judeo-Christian values? FPA is enrolling now for the fall. Request your free information packet at freedomforschool.com. That's freedom, F-O-R, school.com.
It's time to get educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. This is the Dr. Duke Show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. Before we get started, please hit that share button so we can educate more patriots all around the country. Today, we kick things off with our international correspondent, Alex Newman. Alex, thank you so much, and welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Duke. It's great to be with you.
Well, a little Frauden meeting up a little bit of Shoida, right? As we're looking at some payback now. We've got primaries all across the country. In many places, we see school boards facing the reckoning. Conservatives getting elected all over the country, especially in Texas. Talk about what's happening in Texas.
Thank you, Duke. Yeah, something phenomenal just happened in Texas over the weekend. They have about 1,200 independent school districts, and of those, almost 50 just had elections over the weekend. And what we saw there was an absolute whooping for the radical leftists, the woke, the CRT advocates, the hyper-sexualized advocates of sexualizing children. They got spanked, demolished, stomped on, however you want to call it. But in Tarrant County, to give you an example, up in North Texas, out of 11 conservative candidates that ran, 10 of them won their election outright, and the last one who didn't win outright is now going off into a runoff. So it looks very likely that he will win as well. Even in Austin, right, super liberal. I mean, Austin is like the California of Texas. Even there in the Dripping Springs school district, conservatives managed to flip the board. Basically everywhere where Texas had school board elections, you had massive victories for conservatives, massive defeats for the education establishment, the LGBT activists that want to push that on children in the classroom. Now the real question is going to be, is it going to make any difference?
That's my question. This is great news, and I've seen this happen in various, across Wisconsin. Outside the big progressive cities, we've seen small town after small town begin to take back those school boards for the conservatives. But my question is this: what is the left saying? What are the educrats saying? Are they recognizing they've been defeated? Are they depressed and mopey, defiant? Have they? Is their attitude, we're marching ahead no matter what you idiots do? What have we heard, if anything, from the progressive left on this?
Well, it's like they have no shame, Duke. They're right now whining about how conservatives want to politicize the classroom. I kid you not. I'm not making it up. Unbelievable to see this. Pot, meet kettle, right? Pretty unbelievable to see this happening. But no, what's going to happen here, Duke? I can almost guarantee it because I know so many people who've done this before. I've advised so many people who've managed to take over a school board, who've gotten a seat on the state school board all across the country. It's the same story. In fact, one of the members of our advisory board for public school exit, Steve Baldwin. He used to be the chairman of the Education Committee in the California Assembly and got a whole bunch of conservative legislation passed on education. And of course, nothing ever happened. None of it was ever properly implemented. After that, he went and he helped get more than 50 conservatives elected to school boards across the state of California. Didn't make any bit of difference. So what happens is when conservatives take a local school board, they'll come at you from the state level or from the federal level. If you take the state level, they'll come at you from the local level and the federal courts. There really is no way to win this battle, unfortunately, because the education establishment is so entrenched. The momentum of this monstrous machine is so heavy that it'd be like expecting the Titanic to turn on a dime as it's sinking. It's not going to happen. But I wish them well. It is a valuable lesson. The people that won these races, these are the same exact kind of people that lunatic attorney general Merrick Garland was calling terrorists just a little while ago. So it looks like terrorists are now in control of the school boards, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who are unhappy about that. But for parents, don't let your guard down for a minute. This does not mean that it's going to be safe to send your child to a government brainwashing.
If anything, you're going to have to look harder because they're not going to stop trying to slip things into your classrooms. They're not going to call a moratorium or a halt for the long march of leftism through your kid's school. They're going to be more, at the one hand, more dishonest about it, on the other hand, more brazen. We welcome these moms and dads to those positions. You're going to have a lot of work in front of you. And to those of you who voted, please do not believe that your vote ends this problem. That's the first salvo, or you fought your last. Keep fighting.
Absolutely. And I tell parents, first step is get your children out. Then, if you want to try to take over the school board, that's great. And I hope good things will come from this. I'm not going to hold my breath, but really what will happen is now the teachers will just be a little bit more devious. The teachers well, not all teachers want to do this, but the ones that do want to sexualize and brainwash your kids, they'll just have to be a little bit more devious, a little bit more quiet about it. And the U.S. Department of Education will be stepping in and providing reasons. They did this in Florida, right? When Ron DeSantis said you couldn't force kids to wear masks or you would lose your salary, the Department of Education in Washington, D.C. just said, oh, well, we'll make up your salary, right? So they will find a way to keep the radical brainwashing ongoing. But hey, it is a nice black eye for the forces of indoctrination and sexualization and dumbing down.
With all the censorship taking place on social media platforms, we've made it easy to keep up with your favorite content. Simply download the Freedom Project Media app in your App Store. Get access to 18 new videos a week, plus thousands of archived shows, lecture series, and educational animations. Download the Freedom Project Media app on your Apple TV, Roku, tablet, or phone, and make sure you allow for notifications to keep you informed.
So much yelling this week, and it's coming from big babies. Not the ones who can't get access to formula, we'll get to that in a moment, but from the other babies who spend all their time in diapers, especially this one.
Remember those long lines you see in television? People lining up all kinds of vehicles just to get a box of food in their trunk. How could we forget? People were hurting. What is it my crowd want to do? Forget it. Forget it.
Set it and forget it. Now it's not just Donald Trump who's so bad, but all you super, mega, ultra, squared, carry the one folks who simply don't agree with Joe Biden. And that's what Biden said when he delivered remarks after the Buffalo shooting, where a deranged, hateful 18-year-old man senselessly murdered 10 black people in a grocery store. Any common sense human understands how tragic this is, but Joe still couldn't help but lump half of the country into the category of the most fringe.
I and all of you reject the lie. I call on all Americans to reject the lie. And I condemn those who spread the lie for power, political gain, and for profit. We can do this if we resolve to do it. If we take on the haters and those who don't even care, it's just about profit and politics.
So why not call the media and all of Washington out by name? It's only because he thinks it's you, average person at home, who may disagree with him. You're the problem. We all agree that white supremacy is awful and abhorrent, and the Buffalo murderer should be convicted of every heinous act he committed. But Biden did what Biden does: blame anyone who doesn't agree and make it a political opportunity to promote his agenda.
We can keep assault weapons off our streets. We've done it before. I did it when he passed the crime bill last time, and violence went down, shootings went down. You can't prevent people from being radicalized to violence, but we can address the relentless exploitation of the internet to recruit and mobilize terrorism.
I'm glad to see his commentary quieted down, but mea culpa for interrupting the senile humbug while he was yelling.
Because in the United States of America, the idea that people would have to wait in line an hour and a half to get a box of food in their trunk. It's unbelievable.
That was the President of the United States speaking, or rather yelling, to the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers at a convention in Chicago over the weekend. So in addition to not knowing what he is saying, he clearly has no idea where he is, per always.
God bless you all.
so lost, so confused, and of course, so angry. So for today's question, who has acted like the biggest baby this past week? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and please share the video, if for nothing else, but to let people know about the baby formula shortage, and maybe they can provide some help. Now, the president may be yelling about food shortages, not the formula shortage because he doesn't know what's going on, but the vice president sure had enough word salad to fill her tummy, which brings us to... Where in the world is Kamalama Ding Dong? Oh, Kamalama was found at the Association of Southeast Asian Nations Special Summit. Yes, I didn't know that was a thing either. Now, either way, for the first time it was held in Washington, D.C., and that allowed for a great photo op, which is the only thing Biden can handle these days. So much diversity up on that fake stage. Were there no black queer females available for the photo op? Who cares is the proper answer, because unlike in this country, the Southeast Asian countries are still trying to find the best candidates for the job. It's okay for them to not tick the diversity boxes, but here it's all we do. Ergo, we have Kamala Harris and a word salad about climate crisis. Her words, not mine.
We will work together and continue to work together to address these issues, to tackle these challenges, and to work together as we continue to work, operating from the new norms, rules, and agreements that we will convene to work together on to galvanize global action.
4.5. 4.5. That's the number you're looking for. She said work together that many times in but 12 seconds. On the fourth time you heard her come up with another word for together, so really the number is 5. But who cares? Meritocracy is racist, and so if you tick the intersectionality boxes in Joe's book, you get the gig. Right, Kamala? You can be nominated to be a justice on the Supreme Court. You can serve on the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. Or you can be the press secretary. With the departure of the Ginger Jen Psaki, a new press secretary was needed to circle back, one who never actually circled back.
I just want to take the opportunity to celebrate and congratulate my friend, my colleague, my partner in truth, Karine Jean-Pierre, the next White House press secretary. For anyone who does not know her, I want to provide a little bit of a primer for you, so settle in. First, as you all know, she will be the first Black woman, the first out LGBTQ plus person to serve in this role. She will give a voice to so many and allow and show so many what is truly possible when you work hard and dream big, and that matters.
But mostly the part about being a black queer lady. Psaki forgot to mention immigrant as well, so it's business as usual with the inaccurate reporting.
My presence at this podium represents a few firsts. I am a black, gay, immigrant woman, the first of all 3 of those to hold this position. I would not be here today if it were not for generations of barrier-breaking people before me. Representation does matter. You hear us say this often in this administration, and no one understands this better than President Biden. Which is why his administration is not only the most diverse in history, it is filled with barrier-breaking women and men, from the vice president to the cabinet secretaries, to his Supreme Court nominee, to senior staff throughout this administration.
Ms. Jean-Pierre, Katie Petrick, Healthy Republic. My question to you is, what is a woman? Now, Jean-Pierre began her tenure at the podium on Monday. How did she do on day 1 of the job?
The president's Twitter account posted the other day, "You want to bring down inflation, let's make sure the wealthiest corporations pay their fair share." Mm-hmm. How does raising taxes on corporations reduce inflation?
Are you talking about a specific tweet?
He tweeted, "You want to bring down inflation, let's make sure the wealthiest corporations pay their fair share."
Look, we have talked about this past year about making sure that the wealthiest among us are paying their fair share, and that is important to do, and that is something that the president has been working on every day when we talk about inflation and lowering costs, and so it's very important that that, as we're seeing costs rise, as we're talking about how to, build a America that's safe, that's equal for everyone and doesn't leave everyone behind, that is an important part of that as well.
Right. I think she's been hanging out, making salads with Kamalama Ding Dong. Fine. But can you address the very real shortage on formula? Because surely we can all agree that babies need to eat.
Great. Who's running point on the formula issue at the White House? You mentioned the White House is involved.
I mean, I at the White House, I don't know. I can find out for you and get you a person who's running point, but I don't have a person in it.
She giggles about moms and dads not being able to feed their babies. Let's go back to Psaki for this one, as she comments on how the plant was just shut down for making formula after 2 babies died, though there is no evidence of contamination at the plant that was shut down. But anyway, Jen?
It does seem like we should have seen this coming, that maybe the FDA could have done more on the baby formula shortage. The whistleblower who used to work at that Sturgis plant warned the FDA top officials about safety concerns in October, but they didn't interview that whistleblower until December. The inspection wasn't until January 31st. The recall happened February 17th. So is that timeline acceptable to the White House? And if not, what is the White House doing to correct that at the FDA?
I'm sure there will be plenty of time to take a look at if there are any issues that could have been improved here. I don't have any specific analysis of that at this moment in time.
But straight out of that horse's mouth, the administration is making this a top priority, like 7 months later, when the shortage is very real. At least the shortage is very real to all of the babies born in this country, maybe not the ones coming into it.
But I would also note that we also think it's morally the right thing to do. This is a difference from the last administration. It is the law, but we believe that when children and babies, or babies I should say, are crossing the border with a family member, that providing them formula is morally right. And so we certainly support the implementation of it.
Again, not the babies born here. I mean, those babies that are allowed to be born here, which goes against everything the far left desires. And it's always about what they desire, what they cry about, give ear-piercing screams about, and what they poop in their diapers about. But we've had enough of you, Joe Biden. Those who haven't had enough of Joe are the record number of migrants arriving at the southern border this past month. It's a new record. A whopping 234,088 people traveled across the border, and 117,989 were told, hey, you go on your merry way. And to add fuel to the fire, which is probably cheaper than putting it in your vehicle at this point, gas prices hit $4 or more per gallon in all 50 states for the first time ever. Now that's the unity Joe promised us. I'm sure we'll hear from Jean-Pierre on both of these actually important issues, but for now, let's have Ginger Jen give one last comment before she is gone from spinning for the Biden administration from behind the podium to spinning for the Biden administration from behind the desk at MSNBC.
When you've served, as the president has, as vice president for 8 years, you're pretty clear-eyed about the fact that leading the country means that the buck stops with you and that every challenge we face is on your desk. And he's very aware of that.
Bye, Felicia. See you on MSNBC. And now it appears that Jen is not the only one leaving. Well, I guess leaving at some point. In true flip-flopping fashion, that is, Anthony Fauci, the greatest doctor to ever doctor, the Fauci made a blistering announcement. If Donald Trump becomes president in 2024, Anthony Fauci will leave the White House. There's only one thing left to say about that gift that kept on giving for the past 2 years.
And I want to look him straight in the eye, and I want to tell him what a cheap, lying, no-good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, hopeless, heartless, fat, bug-eyed, stiff-legged, spotty-lipped, worm-headed sack of monkey he is. Hallelujah! Holy shit! Where's the Tylenol?
Clark should have asked Fauci where the Tylenol is since, he's a doctor, but hallelujah. The announcement of possibly leaving is the smartest thing that has come out of the doctor's mouth probably ever. Now, I don't know what 2024 will bring, but if it means he's not in the federal government, then God bless America. So we have a plethora of babies crying, And then we have our infants who don't have formula. We are supposed to protect the most innocent, and right now this country is pushing to kill those babies trying to make it into the world. And we can't feed the babies who made it through the birth canal. More than ever, keep focused on what is important: faith, family, and friends. Also, please share this video to spread that message. Until next time, stay healthy, America.
Today's show is sponsored by our friends at MyPillow. Save up to 66% on all items at MyPillow.com when you use the code Dr. Duke. That's DRDUKE. Support this show by supporting a great American company.
All right, we are joined now by Sherry Few, president of U.S. Parents Involved in Education, to discuss a brand new documentary just released entitled Truth and Lies in American Education. Welcome, Sherry.
Thank you, Duke. I appreciate you having me on.
I'm very honored to disclose that I was part of the movie. I am in the movie. I want to thank you for that. I think I have not finished watching it, but I think this is a stunning piece on what's going on in American public schools today.
Public school is the instituted agency of socialism throughout every community.
The U.S. government has no authority to have any role in education.
We're going to lose our very republic if we don't stop this indoctrination of children in government schools.
What happened to us in China can happen here.
Have one kind of education and then call it equity.
It's about outcomes. It's about trying to force us all to be equal.
I think we're going to have a race civil war in our hands.
We are exposing kids to pornography as early as kindergarten. Parents just don't know.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. Parents need to wake up. They don't have the interests of your child at heart.
And of course, we discussed everything from the sexualization of children to critical race theory, the anti-American propaganda, and the unfactual history that's being taught in government schools in America.
Let our listeners know, what was the idea behind creating this movie?
Well, you know, one of the topics I didn't mention that we discuss is the exposing the workforce development model of education, which a lot of people are uninformed about. And we really we set out to try to do a film to explain that. And we do cover that. And Donna Hearn is the expert on that. We interviewed her, and it's really telling. But as time went on, we realized there were so many issues that we needed to cover. And it's gotten so worse in just the last 2 years. When we first started the film, we didn't realize we would end up where we were, but we think it was God's perfect timing. The release is perfect. Because of all the issues like the sexualization of children, sex education's been an issue, a problem in government schools for a long time. But now the transgender ideology and the things being taught to children behind their parents' backs, it's just appalling. And people need to know. They need to understand what is happening in government schools, not just parents, but taxpayers. They're funding this nonsense, and the Marxist roots of critical race theory and the negative anti-American propaganda is turning children away from their country. And so even if you don't have kids in public school, you need to be paying attention, because our very freedom is at stake.
Yeah, that is no understatement. You could do a sequel already just on the Biden years. It is a very frightening time, and what I love about the movie is it's relatable. You have I think you did a fantastic job of picking guests who could take complicated issues and break them down for the average layperson. And I think that's exactly what we need more of. Tell me, what kind of reception is the movie getting now?
Well, people are loving it. And what I'm hearing, the feedback has been excellent. And again, I think the timing is perfect because, you've seen the parent outrage all across the country. And, people are upset about what's being taught. That was what COVID, probably the silver lining of COVID, was parents were actually able to see what their children were learning, and what they saw they were not pleased with. So parents are very excited to have this even as a tool to educate other people in their community. And parents are running for school board and taking back the education of their children.
Give us one of the major lies and one of the major truths that this movie is going to teach parents.
Well, the major truth is that children are being indoctrinated in government schools in every way, in every, the critical race theory, the social emotional learning, it's being embedded in every subject at every grade level. So that's the truth that they need to understand. The lies primarily come in the form of the history that's being taught. We have 2 book authors that we interview that have exposed Howard Zinn's textbook that's been in the schools for decades, and the lies that are in this book. And so the lies are as important as the truths.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think you hit on the one big lie. Of all the other lies, the one lie that binds them, if we go a little Tolkien on you, the one lie that binds them all and in the darkness brings them together, it's the lie of history. It is amazing how dishonest everything from Howard Zinn in the 70s right up to the 1619 program right now. It is bald-faced lies about the nature of America, about the racial attitudes of Americans, about the law, about every aspect of our culture is being radically skewed by the left. And this is dangerous because we've already have a couple of generation of kids who went through the system with the lie. They hate their country. They don't believe in their country. They are all for pro-socialism, but they can't define socialism.
Yes, you're right. And, my daughter-in-law is the protagonist in the film. And we love that about the film, that it's got a storyline. She's learning about education so she can decide what type of education she will do with her children, my grandchildren. So she's told me, several years ago when she started working for our organization, that kids in her age group, friends, people she used to hang out with in high school, actually have communist flags hanging in their living room. They think communism is cool. So the millennial generation has already been fully brainwashed against our country and pro-communism.
Yeah, that galls the heck out of me. Sitting in their American living rooms with their American TVs and technology, with their American cell phones and all the bounty in the refrigerators of American produce, waxing nostalgia for gulags and gas camps, and it's a disaster. And so how do people find this movie? How can they watch it? How can they donate? How can they participate?
Well, if they'll go to the website's, the film's website, it's truthandliesfilm.us. They can view the film there. They can donate. We're still raising money for the marketing aspect of the film. Our producer says you can never have enough money for marketing. So we're still doing all we can to make sure that every household is able to view this film. And I want to thank you for participating in so many ways. Freedom Project Academy even donated a large sum to the film, to the production, and we're very grateful for all that you do. And again, thanks for having me on.
We're all in this together. Godspeed. Thank you. All right, before we wrap things up, I just wanted to say that this show and all of our programming at Freedom Project is made possible thanks to our Patriot Club donors. If you enjoy our content, please consider a donation to financially support what we're doing here. Please consider supporting us with a completely tax-deductible gift. And as a token of our appreciation, we'll send you our trademark American Patriot tumbler. Simply visit patriotclub.us to show your support. And that's going to do it for this show. Until next time, I am Dr. Duke, and I would like you to stay educated.